Happy Money Day. Good morning, good afternoon. Let me start with this so you Hello, my friends. I missed you. Last week we skipped the Money Day, and today we're gonna continue with this book. I can't tell you how much time I spent to prepare for this episode today. It's the longest chapter that we have. I want to show you. We are in chapter 7, okay, here. And I want to show you how big this chapter. I was like, oh my God, Sarah, how are you going to cover all this? It starts from page 147 and ends at page 207. It's one of the biggest chapter, and it's one of the most important principle to riches. And I personally realize that I still need to work a lot on this principle. I want to share it with you today. We're gonna talk about principle number 6 that Napoleon Hill in his book talked about, so you can become rich. And richness here is not only about money, about all kind of abundance. So as you have seen, it's about planning. And he covered a lot of aspects. And in this episode, I tried to make it simple, straight to the point, because I don't want you to get bored. And don't leave. I wanna share with you a very nice, quick questionnaire for you to check if you are a leader, if you are still missing something, so you can become the leader that you really thrive to be. So, guys, today we're gonna explain what is organized planning. So, Napoleon Hill says, the successful leader must plan his work and work his plan. A leader who moves by guesswork without practical, definite plans is comparable to a ship without a rudder. Sooner or later, he will land on the rocks. I'm reading it from here because it's like I picked it exactly how it is. I personally need a lot of work on this. I'm not a good planner, and I have reading this chapter this week made me realize how much I still work on this. So let's do this together. What is like the plan and success and failure? So failing to plan is problem number one. So you have problem number one, which is failing to plan, but problem number two is failing to work the plan. And these are two different things. So the following is a list that I'm gonna share with you here on the screen for some common mistakes that leaders and entrepreneurs, freelancers, business owners do. Before, is there any entrepreneur here watching, a freelancer, a business owner? Let me hear from you. Show me a sign in the comment. If you are an entrepreneur, if you are a leader, a freelancer, if you are a business owner, please listen carefully to these mistakes that we usually do. Okay, so usually when we want to do a plan, we think that the plan has to be definite. Very important to have a very definite plan, but Napoleon Hill talked a lot about the difference between a definite plan and a rigid plan. The plan should not be rigid. You have to be flexible enough to modify the plan accordingly, otherwise failure is at the corner. Over-complicated plans, you don't need any complexity to be effective. Your plan, our plans should be very simple, right? So this is number two. A plan is a plan only if it has action. It has steps that you're gonna do to reach the goal. So if a plan is not actionable, it's gonna remain a proclamation, and there is no way you can get into your to your goal. Rushing a plan without understanding the goal is a true problem, and you're gonna struggle to find your way and find the right actions to reach the goal. Rushing also to financials without understanding the journey that leads you to the financial is another very common mistakes that most of us do. So you have to understand the journey that's going to lead you from this point to your financials. So don't rush to the financials when you are planning. A plan is no guarantee of success. It's very important to have a plan. It's very required to have a plan, but having a plan does not mean we are succeeding, that we are going to be successful. He shared three basic, I tried to be very, very, very brief in summarizing this huge chapter, but I took three important criteria to a successful plan. Do you have any idea? Have you ever been into planning? Do you consider yourself a very organized planner? I like to hear from you. I personally struggle with planning, and I'm not a good planner at all. So the point is, the first criteria for a good planning is creating a realistic plan. The first one is about realism. So when you create a plan, it has to be realistic, it has to be definite, but not rigid. So try to make your best to create a realistic, logical plan. And here he talked like 3-4 pages about, guess what? Masterminding. What does this mean? Napoleon Hill, and I personally agree, I don't know about you guys, but Napoleon Hill said you have to ask sometimes some experts and get a professional advice when you do a plan, and the only best way to get it is being part and attending masterminds, because when you have a mastermind, you will be surrounded by people who are going to give you a lot of tips and insights for you to reach your goal. And this is why, since I started my own business, I've never skipped our community weekly masterminds. And guys, I can't tell you how helpful this is. There is a whole chapter in this book in the coming weeks about masterminding, because he highlights the importance of surrounding yourself with experts and getting their support. But now, sticking to the plan, second important idea about a plan is about having a plan that can be modified. You shouldn't have a plan that is rigid. Okay, so the plan should be a project in continuous evolution, because sometimes we cannot see all the assumptions, we cannot cover all the risks. So your plan should be flexible and should be able to become modified. And here, very important to work on the plan and not the goal. Can you see the difference? So sometimes you start changing the goal, while the plan should be where we have to think so we can reach the goal. And the third key to a successful planning is, and this is what I love the most, as you know me by now, the third key is about introspection and self-awareness. A plan might be great, but a plan must also be executed and has to be implemented. So if the person who wrote the plan, who is supposed to carry out the plan, is not ready, then the plan will be a failure. So let's see. I like this. I try to summarize things and put into equation. So ideally, the organized planning means looking at yourself, analyzing yourself, and make sure you are ready to do some changes at the personal level so you can carry out your plan and implement it. I don't know, have you ever faced similar situation that sometimes you thought that the plan is not gonna be work, but the minute you read something or do some self help practices, you see yourself changing, and you become more able to implement, to execute, and more flexible to carry on and move towards your goal following the plan. I can talk a lot about this, because this is why I could do a change in my life, because I did this kind of introspection, as he called it, and the self-awareness practices. So, okay, take a piece of paper or screenshot of this quote. A quitter never wins, and a winner never quits. And this is what Napoleon Hill in this chapter emphasized on, that it's your attitude, the winner attitude, that makes a plan becomes a reality. So no matter how good a plan is, if we are a quitter, we have the quitter mindset, so the plan is not gonna help us to win. And he says, this quote has to be written on a visible place and read every morning and every night. I agree with that. I love it. A quitter never wins and a winner never quits. So working your plan requires leadership. And this is why I promised you today to do a questionnaire here live with you guys for you to check about this. So working your plan requires leadership attributes. And before I list the attributes that Napoleon Hill mentioned in this chapter, I like to ask you, do you have what that makes you a leader? Do you feel like you have what it makes you a leader? Do you or you feel like you still miss something that you need to add to your skills, to your attributes, so you can become the leader? What? Tell me about how you see yourself. It's very important, because only a leader can execute a plan. And the following, I'm gonna list here with you qualities for a leadership attributes. What I want you to do is take a paper and a pen. I'm gonna list 10 attributes, okay? The 10 attributes, and I want you to put, if you have this attribute, you put 1. If you don't have it, you put 0. And if you think that you have it, but it's still not as it should be, you can put half. Okay? So we're gonna do a calculation at the end and see how much you got. You will get over to a 10. Okay? And then I will tell you what does that mean. What does it mean to have like 6, 7, 8, 10 over 10? It's a kind of questionnaire for you to highlight what is missing, what do you need to work on more, and what do you need to rely on more that you have a strong attributes. Okay, are you ready? Shall we go? All right. So attribute number 1 is unwavering courage. Unwavering courage. So you put 1, 0, or half if you think you have it, but it still needs work. Attribute number 2, self-control. Do you have control over yourself? Like, can you control your emotions, control your fears, control your worries, your excitement? Do you feel like, do you have self-control? 1, 0, or half? Go ahead, don't be scared. Let's see how much you're gonna get. And number 3, attribute number 3 is a keen sense of justice. A keen sense of justice. This is a very nice attribute. I personally believe a leader should and unleash, the one who has sense of justice has the right to be a leader. Otherwise, it's gonna be dangerous and scary. Okay. Attribute number 4, definiteness of plans and decision. Are you definite in planning? When you do a plan, are you definite? And when you make a decision, you're very definite in it? And again, remember, the definite plan is not a rigid plan. So, attribute number 5, habit of doing more than paid for. A leader should always have this attribute, that he doesn't wait for how much he's gonna be or she's gonna be paid for to do something, or to take an action, or start a project. So I love this, and I believe that's a very important attribute for a leader. So having the habit of doing more than paid for. Number 6, having a pleasant personality. Sometimes we think like a leader should be a mean person, or should be a very serious person, or should be... Guys, having a pleasant personality is one of the attributes that Napoleon Hill mentioned in the leadership attributes. Do you have a pleasant personality? Let's see. Okay. Number 7, sympathy and understanding. Again, a leader should have sympathy, should be able to have also a high level of understanding and tolerance. So, how much you're giving yourself? I'm just so excited to see your grades. Actually, I don't know if you're gonna share it with me here, but anyway, it's good for you to understand and check where you're at, where you are at the leadership attributes. Attribute number 8, mastery of detail. I put 0 on this. I personally put 0 on this. I have to work a lot. I'm not into details, and I know because of this I sometimes have to face things and deal with unpredictable results, because I need to work on mastery of details. So very important point, and I agree it should be among the attributes of a leader. And the 9th attribute is willingness to assume full responsibility. So when something happens, or when you get a result, whether you are okay with or not, do you feel like you are fully responsible and you have your ownership towards what you get? This is a very bold trait in a leader, in my opinion, and Napoleon Hill talked a lot about this. The last attribute is use the principle of cooperation. So a leader is someone who believes in cooperation, who works in teams, and is not a one-man or one-woman show. Use the principle of cooperation. So these are the 10 attributes of a leader as per Napoleon Hill. I want to see how much you got. Can you share in the comment your scores? Well, if you got 6 and below, this means that there is still a lot of work that you have to do. And to start with, check where you got your zeros and make sure to work on these attributes. If you get 6 and above, it means you passed the leadership questionnaire. You are a leader already, but you need to do some, still tweaking and polishing on the aspects where you didn't get the full points. Personally, I believe we are all leaders. We are all born with these features, but sometimes we don't understand what we have to do, where our energy should be focused, where we have to work, which aspect we have to work when it comes to enhancing ourselves and becoming a better version of ourselves. I love these 10 attributes. I strongly agree with them. Personally, I don't know about you. You can always check them out. There is always room to grow. There is always room to improvement. So don't feel upset if you didn't get the 10 over 10 or 9 over 10, because this is the beauty of waking up every morning with the motivation to become a better version of ourselves. And in my opinion, every single person should be a leader. You should at least be a leader. We should lead our own life. We should lead our own days. If you believe otherwise, then it's another choice that you're taking. I personally cannot accept that somebody else lead my life. I want to lead my life. I'm born with all the features. If I don't have it, it means I didn't work on it. All right. So I want to end up here. Thank you so much. But before I close, I want to tell you that in this chapter, Napoleon Hill talked a lot about the cause of failure. He listed 30 causes of failures. They are very, very important, but I don't want to make this episode a long one. On this Wednesday, because if you follow my page, you know that Wednesday I come here with questions. I like to ask you the weekly questions. So this week I'm gonna list list the 30 causes of failures for you to check them out. And I'm gonna ask you 4 questions that are gonna help you find out why you are going through any kind of failure. So wait for me and check this video on Wednesday. I will be sharing the causes of failures and what the 4 questions that are gonna help you to figure out what is causing this failure so you can find the solution, and we work always toward our success stories. I thank you so much for joining, for tuning in, for watching it later. It's fine, you can watch it anytime, but please never ever underestimate learning, working on yourself, because there is always some features hidden in us that can make you a superman, a superwoman. So don't settle for less. Thank you so much. Happy Monday and wish you a great week ahead. Cheers.